From the land of lakes, this is 10,000 Takes, brought to you by Minnesota Score Radio. Wally and Eric back for yet another week as we slice and dice the always busy, always topical, super saturated Twin Cities sports scene. And Wally, we are on the television again, another episode of 10K Takes TV.
And good news to talk about.
Yes.
You're Wild in the midst of a run, and hopefully they will continue to play well, obviously losing on Sunday. But the Twins are rolling, first place. They sweep the A's in and out of town. I don't know. I think I'm kind of chipper today.
Yeah. Wow. You are Captain Sunshine despite all the gloom and the rain we've had.
Oh, yeah.
In the Twin Cities on Monday. But, let's start with the Minnesota Wild because I think when you're in the playoffs, that garners the most attention. So they come back to St. Paul. They will play Game 5 on Tuesday night at the X against the Blues. It's all knotted up at 2-2. And if you look at the overall goals in this series, Wally, 13 for the Wild, 12 for the Blues. Most of the experts thought this would be a tight series, possibly going 6 or 7. And so far, it's playing out that way.
Well, it'll definitely go at least 6.
Yes.
We know that much. So what the Blues did with the win on Sunday, obviously, is they ensure that they will come back to St. Louis regardless of what happens Tuesday night in St. Paul. But, it was a 3-2 game. It looked like the Wild might be able to pull this thing out. They score late in the game. They make it a 3-2 game, and then they get the empty netter, the Blues do, with $1:58 to go, and then a power play goal on top of that. So the score did not indicate how close the game was, although it was 3-1 going into the late stretch. Blues give up the goal and make it a 3-2, the Wild did, and then Blues end up winning. So I guess the point is that it has gone back and forth, obviously. Blues winning Game 1. The Wild get on a little bit of a roll with Games 2 and 3. And I think that they look at it as a missed opportunity because they could have came home up 3-1 with a chance to clinch it home.
Well, I don't think there's any doubt. But again, from the St. Louis perspective, I'm sure the Blues felt like we've got to win Game 4.
Absolutely.
We can't go upriver down 3-1 or we will be going downriver for good. David Perana's had a good series. He had 2 more goals yesterday for St. Louis. Jordan Kyrou had 2. He's the guy who exploded on New Year's Day, the Winter Classic at Target Field. Power play issues, power failures, if you will, by Minnesota. 0 for 4. So it continues to dog this team. Now, we're going to talk to Darby Hendrickson later on here on 10K Takes, Minnesota Wild assistant coach. So we'll see what Darby has to say about cranking up that power play, because I know a lot of Wild fans are frustrated. The Wild have so much firepower with Kirill Kaprizov and Kevin Fiala, who really hasn't done a lot yet in this series, and Ryan Hartman and people like that.
And Fiala took that 4-minute penalty in the first period for the high stick. And although they didn't give up a goal in that situation, that means you're a man short. That means you're running your penalty kill out there for 4 minutes. It changes
your
things.
approach is different.
Of course, you're in a defensive mode instead of an offensive mode.
Trying to prevent a goal, basically.
They need Fiala to kick it up again. Kaprizov has been great. I mean, he has, 5 goals now in these first 4 games.
The TNT broadcaster on that goal yesterday said he shot a seed. and it wasn't like it was a wind-up and blast-off type of shot. I mean, he just has so much wrist power, and he gets velocity on his shot. He is special. He's fun to watch.
Yeah, well, and I'm interested to see how they react early on, because that seems to be the indicator in this series. Who's going to jump out early? And whoever does has won each of these games. The Blues jumped out early on Sunday. Obviously, the Wild did in St. Louis on Friday night. And, you can go back through all these games, and it has been the team that jumps out that wins the hockey game. So let's see how this thing plays out Tuesday night.
And especially in St. Paul, if the Wild can get that crowd, they will be energized.
No question.
And if they can crank them up to another level, then the Blues could be in trouble. I'm curious, too, because I expect Marc-Andre Fleury again tomorrow night in Game 5. We saw Jordan Binnington yesterday. He was the guy who orchestrated the cup run in 2019 for St. Louis, but he hasn't been that good since. Ville Husso was the guy for the first 3 games. He looked awesome with the shutout in Game 1, but he came back to earth. He crashed back to earth. So what does Craig Berube in St. Louis do? Do you go with Binnington now?
I think they will go with Binnington. Now, look, Binnington was 0-9 since in the postseason since leading them to the Stanley Cup in 2019. But he bounces back, has a good game yesterday, and not only that did he have a good game on Sunday, but he played in some dire circumstances. They're down several defensemen. I mean, they've got some injury issues.
They're depleted.
They really are. So they end up running a bunch of defensemen onto the roster just for the game.
They had like emergency recall type situations that you can only do if you're down a number of guys. The thing about Binnington, and you're right, he has struggled since the Cup. But if you are the goalie who basically got the St. Louis Blues their one and only Cup in franchise history.
You're beloved.
Yeah, exactly. You will never pay for a meal in the Gateway City again. It doesn't matter. It's all house money from here. But maybe, from the Blues' perspective, he can get hot again. We'll see.
All right. Well, we'll talk more hockey in a few minutes, but we should switch over and talk some Minnesota Twins because, as I mentioned off the top, they are as hot as anybody in baseball. They sweep the Oakland A's. They remain in first place in the American League Central. And as we've talked about, the Central is kind of mediocre. Cleveland and Chicago hanging around 3.5 games out. But the Twins are rolling right now. And it really hasn't been the hitting this weekend. It was the pitching again. And this time it's the bullpen.
Yeah.
Not really much out of the starters because Paddock got hurt. He left with some elbow soreness after 3 innings of play. And he really didn't pitch that well. I think he gave up both of the runs. But the bullpen comes in and does the job. They shut the A's down again.
Yeah, some of the bullet points. They're winning despite having these injuries. Rocco Baldelli and Luis Arraez and some others in COVID protocol. Right. They got Jace Tingler as the interim skipper. As you said, they're not banging the ball around the yard, but the pitching has been solid. Sonny Gray came back on Saturday. He looked very good. Yeah. And I want to give props and kudos, though, to Jorge Polanco. Yeah. Wow. I don't know if we talk about him enough. Byron Buxton deserves all the credit that we give him, and probably more as long as he's on the field.
Well, he isn't on the field right now.
No, there's a hip issue here at play. And then you got Carlos Correa. We know the impact this guy can have. But Polanco, wow, clutch. I think he reminds me a little bit of what Eddie Rosario was like when he was here. You want the big hit. You want somebody to come through in crunch time. I like Jorge Polanco. And boy, when they're out in the same lineup, Buxton, Correa, Polanco. Is there a better threesome in MLB?
Well, let's see if we can get all three out there because
that's the key.
Obviously, Correa and Buxton did not play on Sunday. As you mentioned, Buxton with the hip injury. By the way, he took some acupuncture to try and get this thing solved.
Whatever it takes, right?
Well, and I think that's his attitude as well. And, it's good. Just get him out there, man. I read a quote, and I think that there may be some truth to this, that he might be more athletic than his body is willing to take. He's just too athletic for his body.
Yeah, I've seen that too. Well,
I don't know if that's possible, and if that seems like
it's a problem I wish I had when I played sports, but
no, and you didn't, and nor did I.
Thank you. 2 other bullet points though: 7 straight one-run wins. So if you're winning the close games, that often can be a trampoline to success.
9 straight at home.
9 straight at home. And that's the other blueprint I was going to lay out. If you can be 60 to 70% win percentage at home and break even on the road, that's usually something that equates to postseason baseball. So there are a lot of good things about the Twins, even though they're a patchwork team right now.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that this club, and Trevor Larnach went on the DL, and he was playing really well. I mean, he's hit over 300.
I was there Friday. Cool moment. Jose Miranda, first career MLB home run, and Royce Lewis, first career MLB hit. Same game.
Yeah, and those 2 guys are going to be, instrumental in their success long term. No question about it. So, all
right, the heat check comes this week. The AL champion Houston Astros are in town.
I thought you were going to mention that Cleveland's coming into town.
No, that's the afterthought.
Cleveland took 3 out of 4 from the Blue Jays. Let's not count them out quite yet.
I'm waiting for Houston.
Who cares about Houston?
Tuesday, Wednesday.
They're a bunch of cheaters.
Wow. You didn't even mention the LA Dodgers who continue to roll. All right, stick around. A lot more coming up. 10K takes your Twins ticket.
I've been meaning to give you these for many years. I think they're perfect.
Maya?
Oh, I love your earring. Why didn't you try these?
It isn't just about vision. It's about care. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
10,000 takes, Wally and Eric, and we are going to continue talking Minnesota Wild hockey. They have a Tuesday night date with the St. Louis Blues, Game 5 of their first-round Stanley Cup playoff series, and we are joined now by Wild assistant coach and former Wild player Darby Hendrickson. Darby, A, welcome to the show. B, what can we expect Tuesday night?
Well, thanks for having me on, guys. This is going to be a good. Obviously, been a good series. Obviously, they're a good team as we are. They win the first one, we win the next two, and they come back to make it 2-2 at home. So we're excited to get back to home ice. We've been good on home ice all year, but most importantly, just making some adjustments with our game and things we can be better at, and get back to the two games where we had success. So. This is the middle of the whole thing, and it's just starting, but it's exciting to be back at home ice for sure.
Darby, with the exception of Sunday's game, all of these starts have been late, scheduled for 8:30, but it's more like 8:45 p.m. Central. Do you like that? I mean, you got to wait around all day. There's a big buildup. How do you approach that from the coaching staff perspective?
Yeah, it's a long day. Obviously, both teams are in the same boat. And even just after the game, I mean, you're getting back at whatever 1 o'clock, and obviously for players, I'm sure they fall asleep, way later. So, but it's what it is. I think this has been common in the early rounds where we've been here before, and just with our central time zone, they want to have all the games for TV. So, you just adjust and roll with it. A little more time in the afternoon, but when the lights turn on, you want to be ready, and I do think. We have been ready, but it's again, we're tied 2-2. So whatever time we play it, whether it was an afternoon game yesterday or back to 8:30, 8:45, whatever it is, we got to be ready when the lights turn on.
Darby, Jordan Binnington was in the nets on Sunday. Two-part question. A, were you surprised to see him out there Sunday? And B, do you expect to see him again on Tuesday?
Yeah, not surprised. We had scored 5 goals, 6 with the empty netter the night before. So, and then on the other end, a guy who's experienced and won a Stanley Cup. So, obviously they're looking to that, not only leadership but obviously his experience in that regard to hopefully come in and have an effect in the Game 4, which was a factor. So, regardless of who they play, though, we have to be focused on some of the real good things we did in Game 2 and Game 3 that made us successful around the net.
Darby, we've seen both teams do this. Craig with St. Louis, Dean with Minnesota, pulling the goalie, earlier than you normally would expect with maybe a 2-goal differential. It happened in the game on Sunday. What's the mindset there?
Well, I mean, there are certain points where we look at it and discuss it beforehand with time and with if it's a 2 to a 3-goal lead in terms of going for the extra man. And the odds in certain situations are, just for your odds to come back are very, very low. When you're down by 3 goals and it's 8 minutes. We all get that, but why not go for it? Why not try and make it a 2-goal lead? And then you never know from there. Obviously, you have to read your group. There's different nights where you're not, you may not be generating, or you might be generating and you don't want to do it quite yet. So like a lot of these things are just, we discuss them, we talk about them. It's not just a split decision at the time, but you're trying to get back in it. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But for the most part, for us, we've had a lot of success being aggressive and taking a chance for those opportunities to make it a close game.
Talk about the power play. What needs to change? Because didn't have success in Game 1, didn't have success in Game 4, and it was quite the opposite in Games 2 and 3. What goes on the power play that you don't like that needs to be fixed?
Actually, it's the things we did like. Our last power play with 7 minutes to go did not get it done. We're down by a goal. That's certainly an important time. We didn't have as many looks on that one. I think that one was more of a there's some things we tweak on that, but at the other ones we had a lot of chances. We had a number of chances around the net. We had a number of shots. If we continue to do those things, they'll go in. And that was very similar to Game 1 for us. We did not execute on the power play, but our looks were good. We were that close. Game 2, we were able to stay the same course and obviously be productive. So I think it's similar there, and we have to stay with the things that are giving us success. Yes, it's puck movement and all that, but but getting it to the net obviously is number one. And we did do enough of that last game, but there's also a little bit more we have to do.
Kevin Fiala was so explosive in the regular season. The Blues so far have bottled him up. Do you expect a breakout game from Kevin, hopefully Tuesday night?
Yeah, and I think the one thing his offensive talents are very important in a series, but you don't want to get. I think the message to him is don't try and get over too cute with the puck and one-on-one type of hockey player. Trust your line mates. Obviously, he's got great assets. That's shooting. That's his speed, his legs, and most importantly, just keep your mind in tune. I mean, it's that one break in a series where different matchups or different scenarios, it's not there. And when it's not there, when you try and force things, it can easily go the other way and work against you. So the message to him is stay with it. And all of a sudden you get that break or that little look you're looking for, and he has the ability in those situations to execute. But he's got to hang in there, keep working. And 100% we need him, but he's don't force it. Let it come to you a little bit. And by doing the right habits and obviously shooting and getting to the net, you're getting rewarded.
Did you sense a sense of desperation from the St. Louis Blues in Game 4? Obviously, they didn't want to go down 3-1 coming back to St. Paul. That much we do know. But how much does that play into a postseason game like that?
For sure. There's always these pivotal points in a series. Obviously, they're aware if we win the next one, that's 3 in a row on our end. They want to push back. And when you look at it, some of their top guys, O'Reillys of the world, delivered. And, every game has its own twists and turns. We did not, I think after our first period, we felt pretty good that we got through some penalty kills and a 4-on-3 in there too. We had a double minor with Kevin and we were able to get through those, especially with a good power play they have. So just the second slip from us, just in some details and some situations where we got loose in our game and they capitalized. They have some players that can do that. We liked that we got a goal early in the third and we had a chance to be in there. And even after that, we had a 2-on-1 by Ryan Hartman. We had a great look by Freddie Gaudreau. There was definitely opportunities to tie it. It just didn't happen. But we sit at 2-2. It's the best of a 3-gamer right now. And, we're excited. It's Game 5. Let's get it going. And again, we're excited to be home. We feel comfortable here, and I know we're going to have a great effort. And this series is we knew coming in it was going to be a good series. We knew it was potentially going to be a long series, and we have to bring our best game, Game 5, and go from there.
Darby, to this point, Cam Talbot, the All-Star, who was scorching hot at the end of the regular season, hasn't seen any ice time in goal. How do you keep Cam, motivated, mentally involved? I know he's a team guy, but what do you say to him?
He's been awesome. It's a great question because it's hard. He's been a starter. He's been in the All-Star game this year. He's led our team to a lot of victories. He's just been really he's really been a pro in this situation. And things can change quickly, and all of a sudden there's a decision that goes a different way or however it plays out. But his attitude is correct. His focus is right. And I know he'll be ready. So that the one thing that we see in a day-to-day is his work ethic, his focus. Obviously, you're not getting the game reps, but I know he's ready when called upon. And right now he's supporting however the situation is. But he's been terrific, and we know if he gets called on, he'll be ready.
Well, great. Thanks, Darby. Good 4-1-1, and hopefully we'll be talking to you about some round 2 matchups here in the near future.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you.
You're welcome. He is Darby Hendrickson, assistant coach for the Minnesota Wild. Game 5 for the Wild and the Blues Tuesday night at the X. Stay with us. More to come after this timeout.
I've been meaning to give you these for many years. I think they're perfect.
Maya?
Oh, I love your earrings. Why didn't you try these?
It isn't just about vision, it's about care. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
10,000 Takes continues along. Wally and Eric with you. And boy, I tell you, here we are, mid-May. And guess what we're talking about again? The NFL and your Minnesota Vikings. The news thus far has been that the Vikings have now picked up a Monday night game as part of a doubleheader. So ESPN and ABC got to announce on Monday that they will have a doubleheader. They're going to have the Vikings as the second part of that, and it will be on ABC. No Howard Cosell, no Dandy Don, no Frank Gifford, but they will be on ABC Monday Night Football, which I think, isn't that Joe Buck and Troy Aikman? So they have switched over. And then the rest of the schedule comes out on Thursday. So the NFL dominates this week again.
Yeah, I mean, the Shield Bigfoots every other sport in North America. And, oh, wow, you get to go to Philadelphia on a Monday night. I mean, it's America's booing capital. So you're going to give that fan base, that angry fan base, all day to get liquored up and then waltz into the link.
Been there.
Believe me, if you're a Minnesota Viking fan and you're going to go to that game, do not wear purple.
Dress down, baby.
Yeah, dress down. In fact, even act like you like the Eagles, because it could get ugly if you don't.
Yeah, I was there for the Vikings-Eagles playoff game in the NFC Championship a few years ago, and we walked through that parking lot and saw Viking fans basically assailed on their way into the building. So yeah, it's not a good look in Philly. I literally, so working in the media, of course, I'm dressed neutral anyway, but that's what I would recommend if you're going to the game in Philadelphia. I'm serious. This is not just a joking matter.
No, he's
just
right.
Dress down.
I saw the last Monday night game at the Old Vet, which was the night before Halloween, against the New York Giants, their arch rival. And it was ugly. Philadelphia fans go to bed angry. They wake up angrier. I don't know what it is in Philly, but...
well, if you lived in Philadelphia, you'd be angry too, man. Although the Sixers are still pretty good. They hung in there. They got a win over Miami on Sunday.
That's true. So.
All right. Next up on the docket, your Minnesota Lynx and Minnesota United, were playing this weekend. And I don't know about you, but all the positivity with the Twins and the Wild in the postseason, but then Min-U comes out and lays an egg against Cincinnati. Literally, they got swept off the field 1-0 in a game where they give up a goal in stop time. Not a good look to lose to a relatively new Cincinnati club.
Second year for FC Cincinnati, I believe. And look, clean sheet, as they say in soccer. Right. So they couldn't score. They lost the week before to LAFC. Now, that's a little bit more understandable because LAFC is very good, and that was a road match. But, yeah, I don't think Adrian Heath is too happy with what he saw this past weekend. And I'm not sure that Cheryl Reeve is too happy with the Lynx getting out of the gate 0-2, road loss to Seattle, home loss to Washington. I'm wondering, though, when they saw that new building, that new venue, Climate Pledge Arena in downtown Seattle, do you think Mark Laurie and A-Rod are saying, this is what we want? Can we build one of these?
Well, were they on the trip is the question. If you had A-Rod and Mark Laurie on that trip, we might have some political discussions going on in Minneapolis about building a brand new Target Center. You know, and I'm wondering, what are they going to do? Where would they put this arena? I mean, if you build a brand new arena, you almost have to tear the current one down. I don't know where you would go with it.
With the premise that it's going to be in downtown Minneapolis and the warehouse district once again. Well, don't assume anything. I'm with you. I think that's where it would go. But all it takes is one suburb with one aggressive mayor who will give A-Rod and Mark Laurie a sweetheart pitch for land, and you'd never know. That's all I'm saying. You just don't know.
So you're saying it's a possibility.
Well, and who thought the Minnesota United Football Club would end up in the Midway?
Yeah, well, that's a little different, but yeah, I get it. Maybe out in Bloomington somewhere, huh? Imagine that.
Yeah, they could demolish IKEA and put an arena.
Boy, I'd be all for that.
I'm fine too.
I don't think my wife would be very happy, but I'm all right with IKEA going away. All right, stay with us. Takes of the day coming up next right here on your brand new Target Center tickets. Stay with us.
I've been meaning to give you these for many years. I think they're perfect.
It isn't just about vision, it's about care. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
"10K Takes TV" back for yet another week. Final segment of today's show. That means takes of the day.
Indeed.
Grumpy Guardian, Giddy Guardian, Happy Camper, Angry American. What is it today?
My mood? Is
Yeah.
that what you're asking
Yeah,
about?
the mood meter.
Okay. Well, I think I'm kind of a happy camper today, but we'll let the mood meter decide that. Your Minnesota Golden Gopher baseball team beat Nebraska on Sunday. What did that mean long term? Probably not a lot, but they won a Big Ten series by taking 2 out of 3 over the weekend for the first time since 2019 when they did that against Northwestern. It has been a struggle the last couple of seasons for John Anderson's Golden Gopher baseball team. This year, they are now 14-31 overall, 4-14 in the Big Ten. Not very good, although it beats what happened in 2021 when they were 6-31 overall. Those were all conference games, if you remember. They did not play non-conference because of COVID. And, of course, 2020, there was no season because of COVID. So 6-31 in 2021. They've eclipsed that this year, obviously, with a 14-31 record. But good to see them at least get a series win for the first time. It just hasn't gone well the last couple of years for John. This coming weekend, they will be at Indiana. So happy for them to get a series victory.
And the mood meter says, happy camper.
Okay, so it was a happy camper.
Well, and it, Gopher baseball at one point was the gold standard in the Big Ten.
No doubt. And John Anderson is the winningest coach in Big Ten history. I mean, there's just, there are no equivalents in the Big Ten.
No.
And he has had a program that has struggled here the last couple of years.
The last 2 years.
No doubt.
Yeah. All right, well, we'll see if they can sustain that success.
Exactly.
My take of the day, well, as we touched on briefly earlier, the NFL continues to Bigfoot and bulldoze everything in its path. So we've got the NHL playoffs going on, right? That's great theater. We've got the NBA playoffs, MLB in full swing, MLS. That's enough to focus on, right? Well, forget about that. Thursday night, your NFL 2022/23 schedule release. It's going to be covered by multiple networks. It's excessive, it's exhaustive, it's paralysis by analysis, but it's going to saturate the airwaves. And here's the thing about when the schedule comes out. All the people out there, and this includes media, fans, they're going to look at, say, the Vikings schedule or the Browns or whoever you cheer for. All right, this is what our record's going to be. We're going to be 8-9, or we're going to be, 11-7. Look, folks, don't base that schedule on 2021 results. Remember Minnesota last year? It came out, opener at Cincinnati, the Bungles. Hey, there's a win. Not so fast. They lost, and the Bengals wound up in the Super Bowl. It's just silly to try to even guess what somebody's record's going to be.
Yeah, no question about it. There's hardly any parallels because the NFL is definitely a year-to-year league. Heck, it's a week-to-week league in some cases.
It's really quarter-to-quarter if you watch some games. So, but it'll get, as we know, a ton of attention. I know you're going to be in your man cave, hunkering down.
I doubt it. I seriously doubt it. But I am looking at that game in London. We'll see if that transpires.
All right, we are out of time. Let's FedEx out those thank yous. One to our crew behind the scenes, also to Rocky and Darby Hendrickson. For Wally, I'm Eric. So long. This is 10K Takes, your sports ticket.